In the labyrinth of Ottoman palaces, where silk whispered secrets and intrigue was the air itself, few names echo with both quiet dignity and shadowed mystery like that of Handan Sultan. She was not born to royalty. She was not a conqueror, nor a celebrated beauty sung by poets. And yet, she would become the Valide Sultan, mother to a ruler of the world's most formidable empire, guiding it through one of its most fragile transitions. Her story is not one of grand wars or burning passion, but of patience, survival, and the subtle art of power. For in a world where women could be forgotten as quickly as they were favored, Handan Sultan learned to rule from behind the veil with wisdom carved from silence. This is the saga of Handan Sultan, mother of I, grandmother to Murad IV, and Ibrahim the Mad, and the quiet architect behind the dawn of a new Ottoman age. No one knows for certain where Handan was born, but most chroniclers agree she was of Bosnian origin, taken in her youth into the imperial harem. Like so many of the Ottoman court women, she was given a new name, Handan meaning joyful or smiling, perhaps an echo of the charm that caught the eye of Prince Mehmed, son of Sultan Murad III and brother to the future Sultan Mehmed III. To the outside world, her beginning was one among thousands. The imperial harem was no mere den of pleasure. It was an intricate machine of politics, education, and ambition. Women there could rise from slavery to supremacy. Handan rose quietly. She bore a son named Ahmed, a boy of sharp eyes and solemn temperament. And though she held no great influence during her prince's lifetime, she would live to see her child ascend the throne, something most concubines could only dream of. When Sultan Mehmed III came to power in 1595, the empire stood vast but unstable. From the Danube to the Persian frontier, the Ottomans were stretched thin, battling internal dissent and external threats alike. Mehmed's reign began with a grim ritual, the execution of his 19 brothers, a horrifying but customary act to prevent civil war. Among the surviving princes was Ahmad, Handan's son, a child at the time. The young prince's survival was itself a miracle. For once, fate turned its gaze and kindness toward a concubine and her son. Handan, now a mother to the future sultan, learned the delicate balance of palace politics. The harem was ruled by powerful women. Safi Sultan, the formidable mother of Mehmed III, wielded immense authority as Valide Sultan. Beneath her shadow, Handan remained quiet, watchful, her influence subtle but enduring. She knew that one day, when her son's time came, silence would no longer serve her. In the chill of December 1603, Sultan Mehmed III died. The throne passed to his son Ahmad I, just 13 years old, a boy, untested and alone. For the first time in Ottoman history, a new precedent was set. No brothers were executed. Handan Sultan is believed to have influenced this decision, advising her son against the bloody tradition. Her compassion altered the empire's course, ushering in a new system of succession that would save countless lives but also sow future instability. As Valide Sultan, Handan moved into her rightful position at the pinnacle of the harem hierarchy. But she inherited not peace, but a storm. Ahmed I's reign began amid war and discontent. The empire faced revolts in Anatolia, rebellions on the frontier, and the ceaseless pressure of the Habsburgs and Persians. The boy sultan leaned heavily on his mother and the experienced statesmen she helped surround him with, most notably Kayuku Murad Pasha, a veteran of the empire's brutal campaigns. But Handan's influence was not merely political. It was maternal, moral, and deeply personal. She understood the weight that had crushed so many Ottoman heirs before her. In Ahmed's youth, she had seen both gentleness and melancholy, the temperament of a thinker, not a killer. She urged him towards justice, toward mercy. And in the harem, she began to restore a sense of dignity that had waned under the iron rule of Safi Sultan. Though no longer valid, Safi Sultan refused to release her grip on power. Her vast network of servants, eunuchs, and foreign ambassadors had long ensured her dominance over the court. For Handan, this was both a test and a threat. She had to secure her son's independence without provoking open conflict. In the secretive world of the harem, wars were not fought with swords but with whispers, alliances, and the loyalty of palace officials. Gradually, through prudence and restraint, Handan outmaneuvered Safi. Ahmed respected his grandmother, but grew wary of her interference. Finally, in a decisive act, Safi was exiled from the palace, ending decades of her regency over Ottoman affairs. Handan had triumphed not through cruelty, but through quiet persistence. Under Ahmed's reign, the empire began to heal. Peace was made with Austria, and attention turned inward to stability, to faith, to the arts. Handan Sultan, though not as publicly dominant as later Valides like Handan Sultan, Ahmed's future wife, played a formative role in shaping the early policies of her son's rule. In her, Ahmed found not a schemer, but a source of balance, a voice reminding him of justice, mercy, and patience. It was under her gentle guidance that the Sultan commissioned one of the most magnificent architectural works in Ottoman history, the Sultan Ahmed Mosque, known today as the Blue Mosque, symbol of piety and peace amid centuries of conquest. Handan did not live to see its completion. By 1605 or 1608, sources differ, Handan Sultan's health declined. She had lived long enough to see her son grow into a ruler both loved and burdened by the weight of empire. Her death left Ahmed devastated, so much so that court chroniclers wrote of his visible grief, his deep mourning for the woman who had been his anchor in a sea of politics. Her body was laid to rest with honor in the Hagia Sophia. Within the tomb complex of her son Ahmed I, it was a rare distinction, reserved for those who had truly mattered in the story of the Ottoman dynasty. Handan Sultan stands at a crossroads in Ottoman history. She was the last valid sultan of the old order, a woman shaped by restraint and modesty, yet she was also the mother of the generation that would usher in the Fora, Sultanate of Women, a century where imperial mothers would rule as regents, power brokers, and kingmakers. Her son's wife, Handan Sultan, would become one of the most powerful women in Ottoman history. Her grandsons, Murad IV and Ibrahim, would carry the empire through both its peaks and its madness. And through them, Handan's blood, and perhaps her quiet strength, flowed onward. She never ruled with iron or fire. She ruled with stillness, the kind of wisdom that survives not in records of conquest, but in the steady hand that keeps the empire from crumbling. History often forgets women like Handan Sultan because their triumphs were not shouted, they were whispered. Yet, in those whispers, entire empires found their balance. She was the mother of mercy in an age of blood, the bridge between the ruthless old Ottoman world and the temperate introspective new. And when the muezzin's call echoed over Istanbul's skyline, the very skyline her son would crown with the Blue Mosque, it was said that the Sultan would pause, listening, perhaps remembering the gentle voice that had once guided his heart and his empire alike. Handan Sultan, the quiet architect of the Ottoman dawn.